What is up, guys? CyberMage here, and today we are doing Illuminate GCP by fuzzing IAM permissions. So the scenario is your team is tasked with conducting a penetration test of gigantic retail company. During the assessment, one of the penetration testers successfully identified an accidentally leaked GCP service account key and gained a foothold in the client's cloud environment. Your objective is to explore GCP and expand our access further. So I've already gone ahead and connected to the VPN, and I've downloaded the resource that is given, which is a zip file. So let's go ahead and unzip this. And we see we're given this account key called DevOps re, and the project is GR project 1. So first let's authenticate with this account. So we do gcloud auth activate service account, and then the key file. And because we notice here that the project is GR project 1, we can set gcloud to use this project from now on. Gcloud config set project GR proj 1. And it says does not have permissions to access projects. All right, we're just going to say yes to continue, and it has been updated. Great. Let's go ahead now and try to get the permissions that we have for the service account. So we're going to start off with getting the policy that's attached to the project level. So GR project 1, get IAM policy. And we notice we have an error message that our service account does not have permissions to access project instance GR project 1, get IAM policy. All right, so since we don't have permissions, the next thing we can do is try to brute force the permissions we have using the testIamPermission endpoint. I believe that's what it's called. And in the walkthrough, they talk about a new tool, they taught about a new tool that you can install and use, which is called GCP IAM brute. I'm going to go and activate this environment. So source GCP IAM brute bin activate. And we can run this command over here. And what it's taking is the access token. And it's also going to take the project ID, which is GR project 1. And yeah, it's just going to filter it and get the values that we need, right? So in this case, it's pretty much sending a request. Actually, I'm going to cancel this and I'm going to go into a bit more detail. If you go into roles directory over here and you do ls, you find a bunch of these roles. So it's going to send a post request with each of the roles in each of these files. So if I go to, let's use this one over here. It's sending a post request with all of these permissions, and depending on the response, it will say, hey, you have this specific role and these permissions are granted with that role. So it's sending a post request to the testIamPermissions endpoint for each of these files. So yeah, just a bit of information over there. Let's go ahead and run this command. And it's kind of doing the same thing with the other GCP permission checkers that we had, but it's more like nicely neated out, and it has specific roles that it's checking. I believe the permission checker one that we've been using before, it goes through each one individually without actually giving the role. So yeah. Now, correct me if I'm wrong though there. I'm not sure, but that's what I believe it is. It doesn't give us the role from what I remember. But yeah, we can see that we have permissions here to list the Docker images. We can also list the repositories right over here, list artifact registry repositories with this reader permission. And yeah, kind of the same thing overall, getting these type of Docker images, listing them, getting them. And yeah, that is pretty much it. We can list our repositories here as well. And yeah, same thing pretty much everywhere. Let's go ahead and list the repositories. And before we actually go ahead and do that, I'm just going to talk a bit about artifact registry. This is just copied paste from the lab. I just thought it was pretty well explained. So over here, it says that artifact registry in the context of Google Cloud serves as a versioned repositories for software artifacts. So software artifacts can be container images, package dependencies, and other build outputs. So all of these things, they have a place to be stored, right? And it's also versioned as well. So it operates as a key component in CI/CD pipelines and offers several technical features. And one of them being supported formats. It has many different formats that it supports, such as Docker images, npm packages, and this Maven packages as well. It allows versioning. So this means each change in your code base generates a version, allowing traceability and enabling rollback to previous states. So making sure nothing is um, you have different versions and you can roll back whenever you have an error or misconfigure or whatever. So the next one, it allows integration capabilities, and it just pretty much seamlessly integrates with other Google Cloud services. That's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and just list the repositories. So gcloud artifact repositories list, we have our project, which is gr project 1, and we're looking for format, mode, and location, and name as well. And it's going to check through all locations, so that's good. And there we go. So we have two repositories here, and they're both in Docker format. So yeah, locations, and we can do another command now since we know that it is in Docker format. We can do gcloud artifact packages. And packages is basically a container for software artifacts such as Docker images of what we saw, npm packages, and Python wheels. So let's go ahead and copy this gcloud artifact packages list, and the repository is gigantic retail, which is also in Docker format, and the location is US Central 1. And we notice that there are two packages in here. So just as mentioned before, we also have versioning mechanisms. So each of these packages can have versions. So that's what we're going to try to do next. So first we're targeting gigantic retail. And we notice that one is a previous version, which is at, looks like 3 minutes before this version over here. So this is the newer one. This is the previous one. So yeah, but each one is, a year old, 2024. So let's go ahead and check Jenkins as well. And we're just using gcloud artifact versions list for both of these commands. And there's only one version. It's likely that other versions, such as the older one over here, which is probably, it shows here as 3 minutes older, but it could contain more sensitive information, which can be found in environment variables and stuff like that. As long as we can pull this image and all that, we can then go into it and see any source code files that exist, environment variables, or anything sensitive, right, that we can find on it. So let's go ahead first, and to pull the Docker container, we first have to authenticate to the endpoint, to the specific endpoint, US Central 1, which is the location of this image, right over here, US Central 1. And we can just say yes to continue. Perfect. Now we can go ahead and pull this. And we're pulling the previous version over here. So US Central 1, Docker, PKG, dev, and this is the project. This is a staple over here. This over here is just a staple, a regular thing, which will always be there. So it's just the region. This is just Docker, emphasizing Docker, the project, the name, gigantic retail, which is over here, repository, gigantic retail. And then we have this over here, which is the package. And then we have the SHA-256 hash, which represents the version, which is the older one over here. So we're going with the old one. And let's go ahead and pull this. So I've already done it, so that's why it says already exists. Let's go ahead and check our images that we have. So we can do Docker images, and we'll notice it's the image that we pulled, right? And the main thing to note over here is the image ID. Because what we're going to do now is we're going to run this with the image ID. So Docker run and this over here. This is the same over here. So let's go ahead and run this. And we notice it's running now. I'm going to open a new tab and continue on here. So now the next thing to do is Docker PS. Since it is running, we just need to get the container ID now. So we have it over here, and this is it running. The image is the same as the one we used in the previous command. So now what we're going to do is Docker execute this over here. And we're going to put the container ID over here. I'm going to change the command that's given in the lab to use bash instead. See, perfect. It's much more cleaner and nicer. I prefer it over sh. So we can do ls, and we'll notice that there's these three. I'll do this. We notice that there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 directories, one file, which is an index.html file, and we should go through each one of these and see what we can find. So I'm just going to go through it briefly. We find dashboard.php, and we find this PHP echo right over here. It's showing to screen. This could be possible to inject into. Yeah, it's redirecting to login.php. Admin dashboard content goes here. And yeah, nothing really else here. Let's go ahead and check out a login. And we notice the index.php. Just making a post request using a username and password. Nothing else here. You can check out note.txt. Replace MySQL with MongoDB. All right, nothing here as well. And we can check login.php. And we notice that replace with a MySQL before prod, user1 is equal to password1, replace with hash passwords in production environment. So this could be a user that still exists. So yeah, you can also check environment variables. Yeah, that is pretty much it. Obviously, enumeration takes a really long time to do. It's nice to have a script to do everything. Try to use linps if you want, or any other enumerating tool to make this easier, because enumeration is a pretty long process. But in our case, we're just going to go ahead and go to the directory that has the information we need, which is this app directory. And it contains this key file.json. So if we cat this, we notice it's of a service account, and it's another user front end dev bucket. So I'm assuming that this user has access to some type of bucket. Let's go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to go ahead and, okay, just keep that there. Create a new tab. Let's zoom in. I'm going to go back here and key file.json. And let's authenticate with this user. We can do gcloud auth list to confirm whether this user is now the active user, and it is. So yeah, perfect. Now what we're going to try to do is see if we can list the project or the IAM policy at the project level, which we couldn't do with our previous user. And it says here that our user does not have permissions to access projects instance at this or this permission pretty much. So we don't have that, but again, we can go back and use our new tool called GCP IAM brute. So cd GCP IAM root. And let's go ahead and activate this environment. And we're running the same command as before. Obviously, we're using our new access token of our active G-Cloud user. And we see here we have the ability to get storage bucket, get objects, list objects in the bucket. Get buckets. Again, same thing pretty much. And pretty much same thing, but the issue is that we don't have the permission over here or anywhere that says storage bucket list, right? We have storage bucket get, but we don't have storage bucket list. So we're unable to actually like get the objects inside the buckets until we know the bucket name. And to do that, it would be preferable to have the storage bucket list permission. But unfortunately, we can't find that anywhere. So what we can try to do now is try to brute force any of these buckets that may exist, right? Since we are able to use this command over here and this command specifically, get the objects which are listed in the buckets and obviously then get them. But since we can list the objects in the bucket, we can try to brute force different bucket names to see if any of these commands work, right? So that's what exactly we are going to do. We can deactivate this environment now. And we're going to use a new tool that is shown in the lab called, where is it? Right here. GCP bucket brute. Let's activate this environment. Perfect. And it's going to use this premutation list.txt with the word that we specify, right? So, and the word that we're going to use is gigantic retail over here, which is the company name. So the premutation is just going to be like, quick look at that. We can see it's just going to be like www at the beginning, test at the beginning, and like these type of things, right? So let's go ahead and I think it's saved. I can just, yep. We can run this over here, but I noticed that my key file isn't there. So where was this key file? Oh, all right here. And we're going to let this run, and it's going to give us any buckets that it does end up finding. And it did end up finding this gigantic retail bucket that exists, and we're able to list the objects in it, and we can get objects in it. We have these permissions on it. We're just waiting for this command to finish because we're hoping to get another bucket as well. And there we go, web gigantic retail. Let's go ahead and cancel this. It says that we can list the objects and get the objects as well. So let's go ahead and try to do that. Since we're already authenticated with G-Cloud, we can go straight up and use gsutil ls gs and then the bucket name. I was trying to do this before and it didn't work. So if any of you guys are having issues with this, a quick solution to this for me was I forgot, a very dumb mistake, but I had to set gcloud config set pass credentials to gsutil to true because it was false for my previous labs, I believe. So because of that, make sure it's set to true when doing this. And yeah, that is pretty much it. But now we can see that there is this one directory over here. These other files don't look interesting at all. Let's go into this admin directory. And we have the flag.txt. So we can do flag.txt, this dash here to print it to screen, and then use CP. And if we press enter, we'll get the flag. And yeah, that is pretty much it. So two new tools that we learned, which is GCP bucket brute, and then the same testIam permission type of enumeration, but with a new tool, which is a much more nicer output and also gives the role as well. So yeah, take care guys and see you.